Friends, and welcome to episode 157 of Discourse in Magic. My name is Jonah Babbins, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. This is a solo episode, and as has been true recently with solo episodes, I'm doing something different. It is the month of April, which means this month, and most specifically on April 13th, is the Browsers Bash. That is the one-day Toronto Magic Convention. And it's awesome. And if you've been following this podcast from the get-go, you would know that the Browsers Bash acts as kind of like a checkpoint for this podcast. We launched right around the first Browsers Bash, and we are nearing now the fourth Browsers Bash. So bash to bash, you have hopefully watched this podcast grow. But here's what I wanted to do for this episode. I thought that I would put together a playbook of 10 things to remember to succeed at a Magic convention. You know, all the time when we're at Magic conventions, we're surrounded by magicians, and we have to figure out how to be the most effective and efficient with our time, right? Some people only get to go to a few Magic conventions ever, maybe some a year, maybe a few a year, maybe one a year. It costs hundreds of dollars between the flights and the hotels and the tickets, and we want to make sure that we get our value out of it. And we also want to make sure that we're connecting with the right people and we are saying the right things to make relationships. So in this episode, we're going to talk about 10 different things to remember when you are going to a Magic convention. And in it, near the end of the episode, I'm going to teach you what to bring to fool magicians. So let's start at tip number one. Tip number one is relationships over advice. So here's the thing. For a Magic convention, whether it's 1 day or 2 days or 3 days, likely there's a lot of people. And usually what happens is the number of days the convention is proportional to the number of people that are there. So if there's 500 people coming to the convention, it might usually be a few days long. If there's only 50 people coming to the convention, it might only be a day or a day and a half long. Usually. Obviously, there's loads of exceptions. But in general, if you spend 7 hours or 8 hours sitting at one table with one person, you might be getting advice, but you might not be building the relationships that you want. And don't worry, you should absolutely get advice and give advice. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit more in this episode. But I just wanted to share my tip number one, which is relationships over advice. Some of the best relationships in Magic that I've made came out of Magic conventions, but came after the convention itself. At the convention, I made friends, I had a relationship, we shared drinks, we exchanged tricks, we exchanged pleasantries, we shared some ideas. But after the convention, that's when we connected as friends, that's when we connected as magicians and started to share ideas more back and forth. You don't have so much time at a Magic convention, and oftentimes you can't even get deep into it. So tip number one for me is relationships over advice. Given the opportunity, I would rather make a new magician friend than get a little bit of advice from a new magician. Because one is advice that will, last a lifetime. You'll be their friend forever. And one is advice in the instant. So that's number one. Number two is do your research. And when I say do your research, I'm referring to two different things, both the lecturers and performers, but I'm also referring to the other attendees. First, let me talk about the lecturers and the performers. It's important to do your research online. If they're lecturing and performing at a Magic convention, that means they very likely have released magic effects. They have videos of themselves performing online. They might have a book. They might have publications. They might have loads of different ways for you to do your research and find out who this person is, usually for free, to know if their lecture is one that you should look forward to or their lecture is one that maybe is not so relevant to you. So that's the first reason why you should research the speakers and the lecturers. But the second, this is the most important reason. At Magic conventions, these magicians who are the performers and lecturers, they're going to be hanging out amongst the other magicians, right? This isn't like this big, crazy, intense business conference where the speakers are like so high up and you can't talk to them. At magic conventions, you can hang out and talk to the performers and lecturers and speakers. And if you're going to talk to them and hang out with them and jam with them and you want to be friends with them, and like we said in rule number 1, make relationships with them, then you're going to want to know a little bit more about who they are. It sucks to go up to a speaker and say, hey, you're great. I love what you do. Because then the person who performed, they don't really have much to say. They just kind of look at you and say, thanks. So if you're researching a magician who's going to be performing or speaking and you know what it is, what their expertise is, take a few notes down about that person so that when and if you bump into them at the convention, you're not going, hey, I like your stuff, or hey, I'm a big fan of what you do. Ask a pointed and specific question. And the only way that you're going to be able to do that is to do your research in advance. The next thing about doing your research is not just about the speakers and performers, but do your research about the other attendees. You will very often find out who is going to be attending a magic convention. They're going to be sharing it on social media. You can look up hashtags for the convention before it happens. And some of your favorite magicians who you maybe were very excited to meet, they might not be lecturers or performers, but they might be attendees to the magic convention. And the same thing. If you are going to want to spend time jamming with another magician at the convention, a magician who maybe feels like they're a few steps above you or they've done stuff that you look up to, do your research so you know what you're talking about, so that you can say to them, hey, I was reading your book and I had some questions about XYZ. Would you mind giving me some tips on it? And they would love to sit down with you much more than if you say to them, hey, I love your stuff. Want to jam? They'll probably be like, I gotta go soon. I don't know if I can jam. But if you ask them a question that excites you or is related to you. So number 1, relationships over advice. Number 2, do your research and prepare. Number 3, seek first to understand and then to be understood. This I took right out of the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's a great book. I would highly recommend it. But I stole this from there because this has to do with communicating with others, and I love it. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. In terms of magic convention speak, what that means to me is seek first to help others and then to be helped. And let me give you sort of some of the reasons why I would rather help at a magic convention than be helped. Okay, so number 1, the first reason why I'd rather help at a magic convention is that means that someone else is showing me something new, which is the reason why I'm there. So selfishly, I want to see new magic. So by someone showing me something and me helping them or giving them advice or tips, I get to see new magic. But number 2, because my real goal is to build relationships, I get to watch somebody perform and decide if they are the type of person who I'm going to want to spend 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 10 hours of my convention with, that they're somebody who I seem to feel similar about. They do the same type of magic that I want to learn about. They impress me. They have good thoughts about magic, whatever. All the different things that they could impress me. By them showing me magic, I get to first see it. And then because I'm seeking first to understand, now I can share some thoughts and share some advice and see if they jive with me and what I like to do. So that's the first thing is I want to first give help. And those are the reasons why. Number 1, I get to see more magic, which is why I'm at the convention. Number 2, I get to evaluate if they are the type of person who I want to spend hours with jamming, or if they're maybe the type of person who I want to just say, hey, let's be friends and connect a little bit later, because let's say they do amazing coin magic, but I am more of a card guy and there's not really much there and I kind of want to learn some cool card tricks. So they show me some coin magic. I can say, wow, that's amazing. I love it. can I take down your info and I'll message you later and we'll connect. And I mean that super honestly, but maybe he doesn't have the magic that I'm trying to learn more of. But the third reason, and this is the most important, is if you're going to ask for help, it is better first to help so that people know that you're in that jamming spirit. You want to give more than you're there to take. I don't think you should go to a convention with a goal to take or to get or to receive, or I want to learn tricks or get all this stuff. I think you should go with the mentality to give, because that stuff comes back. So go and give and share something that's very interesting, or watch something of someone else's and give them notes that are valuable. We're going to talk about in a second how to do that. But seek first to understand, seek to see what other people are struggling with and working on and how you can help them and how you can talk about what they're doing and working on. And then afterwards, share the things that you need help with and that you need work on. Tip number 3 is seek first to understand and then to be understood. Tip number 4 is, what are you working on? So this is the quote, the exact phrase that you can say, and I'm sure you've heard it before at magic conventions, to help get the ball rolling. So I said first you want seek to understand, then to be understood. So first it's about them, helping them, seeing their magic, giving them advice, and then you can share some of the things that you are struggling with, you need help with, and that you want to show. So to get them to show you something, I'm going to tell you both the wrong thing to say and the right thing to say. So some of the wrong things to say are, number 1, what can I help you with? What can I help you with sucks, because what can I help you with says, I am not listening or paying attention to you or what you might need. You should tell me what you need. And I think that if we're spending time with people, chatting with people, making friends, making a relationship, we should be able to infer what kind of help they need, right? You don't need someone to ask you what it is that you need. You need somebody to see what it is that you have and give you advice on something a little bit more. So instead of asking, what can I help you with? Or the other big no-no is to say, show me something. And I wouldn't do show me something. And the reason why I wouldn't say to someone, show me something, is because you are giving them no thoughts about what type of thing to show you. So they could show you something that is not ready. They could show you something that they've been doing for a while. They could show you a joke. They could show you a fake trick. They could show you an idea. They could show you and you're not going to be able to set your expectations in the right spot. So I think the best thing to do is to ask, what are you working on? Or what are you currently enjoying? Or what tricks are you currently playing with? Something about what they are enjoying or working on or playing with or spending their time doing. And the reason I say that is because, like I said, the goal for the convention is to make connections, to make friends, to make friendships. So what that often means is I want to help someone with the thing that they are struggling with most, the thing that they are excited about most, the thing that they are worried about most, the thing in magic that's occupying their time the most and occupying their brain the most. So that means the thing I want to ask them is, what are you currently working on? What are you currently obsessing over? What are you currently, and so on and so on. That is the thing that I want to see, because if I have any advice or tips or pointers, I know that it is helping them with something that they actually care about and not like a stupid joke or something to that end. So tip number 4 was, what are you currently working on? Tip number 5 is all about how to give advice. So this one is very, very quick, and there's 2 notes about giving advice. The first is, only give advice when you are asked. That is the most important thing. And you can offer it, but you need to make sure that they agree. Let me explain what I mean. Someone shows you a trick. If they don't ask you for advice and you don't say to them, do you want notes, or do you want my thoughts, or something of that sort, then don't tell them what you think and how you feel. They might not necessarily want your thoughts about it. So definitely make sure to ask first if they want your advice and your opinions and your thoughts, because otherwise you might just look like an asshole. And the second part about how to give advice is a compliment sandwich. So if somebody does ask for your advice and your tips or a piece like that, instead of telling them a whole bunch of different things that are wrong, here's the way to give advice. You say something that's great, then you say the thing that needs work and maybe the advice where they can go to fix it, and then you say something good again. That's the way to give advice. As entertainers, if you're a professional on stage, you're probably used to getting just negative advice all the time, right? Somebody says to you, can I give you some tips? And they go, bah, 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 and they tell you all the negative things. But magicians are not always professional performers. They might not be used to getting notes like that, like a director gives notes after a show. So be kind with your notes. Don't be mean with your notes, because then they're not gonna take your advice, because they're gonna feel insulted. So say something nice, compliment them. They'll feel that you know what you're talking about because you're complimenting them on a decision that they made. Then give them advice, and then compliment them again on a decision that they made. So tip number 6 is tricks to bring. So a lot of magicians prepare for magic conventions, oftentimes by bringing, I think, the wrong stuff. Magicians are trying to bring like the craziest trick they have, or they're trying to bring a trick that's really gonna fool other magicians because it's so technically challenging and things like that. Not at all. I'm going to tell you the 2 different things that I bring in terms of tricks to magic conventions to help me get the most out of the magic convention. The first thing I bring is the trick that I want help on. This is mostly because I want to hear what other people say. This isn't a trick that's currently in my act. This is something that's exciting me, something that I'm playing with, something that I'm toying with. I am waiting for someone to ask me what I'm playing with and toying with so that I can show them this to see if anybody has any ideas that will spark my excitement. So the first thing I bring is something I am toying with. The second thing I bring is a trick that I confidently know how to do. Doesn't need to be a magician fooler, just needs to be one that I am happy and comfortable performing, and really performing, not just kind of going through the moves, but going into performing and entertaining. I think if you've got a trick that you know isn't necessarily fooling, but people enjoy, they have a good time watching, they have a good time being a part of it, that's a good one to have ready for a magic convention, only because it might inspire people to see you performing at your fullest and not just dabbling around. And the third thing that I'll bring is I will bring a magician fooler. And the specific magician fooler that I will bring is I will bring a usually self-working magician fooler, or a simple, non-technically challenging magician fooling trick. And the reason is because magicians that are there to get fooled just want to get fooled. They don't necessarily want a new sleight or anything like that. So I fool them with it, and if they want to learn it, I will teach it to them. But those are the 3 types of tricks that I bring to a magic convention. I bring one trick for advice and to collect what people's thoughts. I bring one trick to perform. Again, more important that you are comfortable showcasing a performance than it is that you are fooling the magicians. And then I bring one trick that is a fooler, and usually it's self-working, because I don't really think I'm going to fool a magician with technical sleight of hand, but I will absolutely fool them with a math or self-working trick that they've never heard of. So that was tip number 6. Tip number 7 is all about how to ask for help and how to ask for advice. So obviously you can ask anyone for anything, and for the most part, if you ask someone for something, they're going to be relatively interested, and they're going to say, this sounds cool, and they're going to love to help you. So there's not going to be a problem. But you know, part of this episode is about how to build relationships, and that comes down to not just asking anybody for any advice, but asking the right people for the advice on the right things, the things that you think they would be good at. So that is exactly the preface that I would say before I ask somebody for advice. So I would say, you know what? Because you showed me that, you might have some great advice on something. and then I show them what I need. Or I would say, you know what you would be perfect for? Here, I need some advice on this. Boom. And then you show them. I like to, before I ask for advice, always tell them that I think that I want their advice specifically, that I'm not just there to collect random advice, but that their advice specifically is of interest to me. And if I can say why, I'll tell them why. So, wow, that's a crazy coin vanish. You know what it made me think of? This. Maybe you have some tips, right? Or wow, that's a cool card trick. Self-working, right? Yeah, I have a self-working card trick that reminds me of. Maybe you have some advice to make it more fooling. Boom, okay? Something that's about why you think they specifically are super, super valuable in giving you advice. The next piece of advice is little wins. It is little wins. So here's what I mean by that. Because the goal of this entire thing is to make relationships. It's to make more friends so that when you leave the convention, you have people that you can connect with, people that like what you do, they like how you do it, they like the types of advice you give, they like the types of advice you get, they like working with you, they like talking to you. You want to give little wins. So here's the way I think about it. When somebody meets me at a convention, somebody meeting me for the very first time, it's my goal to make sure that they leave better off than when I found them. Because that way they get to think to themselves, wow, I showed Jonah this and he made it better. Or I showed Jonah this and he gave me some tips or advice or gave me something to think about or whatever. So if you don't have the advice that someone needs, but you do want to help them, find a way to give them a little win. So you can consider yourself a super connector and try to connect them to somebody else at the convention or not at the convention that would be able to help them with their problem. Number 2, resources. Share with them a resource that might be able to help them with their problem, whether it's a book, someone's download, someone's video, someone's website. Show them where to go get it, tell them how to go get it, introduce them to somebody that could help them. Anything that you think can give them a little win is worth doing. Anything that you think will give them some sort of success, some sort of mini win, something that worked or worked for them is worth sharing. And if you keep in mind that your goal is to give little wins to everybody that you connect to, you're gonna leave with a lot more relationships than you thought you would, because a lot of people are going to be thankful for having met you, and that stuff comes back. So tip number 8 is little wins. Tip number 9, this is a weird one, is bathroom and food. So here's what I mean by bathroom and food. I titled it weirdly. You might find yourself at a convention in a scenario where you are either talking to somebody who you don't want to be talking to, you are talking to somebody for too long and you want to go somewhere else, or you're just caught and you're stuck talking to somebody and you want to go talk to somebody else. Doesn't matter, but you are stuck watching tricks or talking to somebody and you've got to get out of there. So here is my little cheat sheet, which is say, I'm super sorry, but I gotta go to the bathroom. Or, have you gotten something to eat yet? I am super starving. I'm gonna run over there and grab a bite. Or whatever it is. You're looking for food is good, bathroom is good, drink is good. Any reason that you've got to go, take it and say, I'm gonna go, and see if you can collect some sort of piece of information before you go to follow up with them, which is what's gonna be tip number 10, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But just to go over for tip number 9, this is if you need to escape at any moment, you can always appeal to the bathroom, always appeal to your hunger or your thirst, and people are okay with that. And again, it doesn't necessarily mean that someone's like talking your ear off or something like that. It just means that sometimes at a convention, like I said, you want to make the most of your time there. And sometimes you have to get out of a certain scenario. So, and tip number 10, the final tip for today. So tip number 10 is the follow-up. The follow-up is going to be how all of your relationships that you make at a convention succeed. Let me say that again. All of the relationships that you make at a convention are going to succeed because of how you follow up with them. Okay, so in a lot of these instances that I spoke about, a lot of these examples, you're in situations where you have advice for somebody else. So you either have a resource for them, or you have notes for them, or you have someone who you want them to be connected to, or a show that they should go see, or a link they need to check out, or something like that. Or maybe you just told them that you would connect and you would call them in a few months and see what is going on with them, and see whatever it is, you have to follow up. So if you have a jam and it's a good jam and things are going well, take a note of all of the things that you promised that you would supply them with. And on the day or 2 or 3 after the convention, go through that note and message every single one of the people that you said that you were going to message. These people are going to be absolutely blown away. Nobody follows up anymore, okay? People say, oh, I'm gonna send you that link, and then no one ever sends the link, okay? So you will be the only one who sends the link. You will be a valuable resource to them, and all they will think to themselves is, wow, I spent 20 minutes jamming with him, and not only did I get to show him a cool thing, but he gave me great advice on it. Then he fooled me with a self-working trick, and then now he followed up with me and sent me all of the links that I forgot about for the advice that he gave me. And that is the way to make a great impression at a magic convention. That's how you show people that you care about magic and that you care more about them as a person and the relationship that you're making with them than you do about learning one more trick. And that is some advice for a magic convention. And here is one last bonus section. I put together 4 cool questions for a magic convention. And some of these are questions that I have used in the past. Some of these are new questions that I put together for the Browsers Bash. And these are questions to ask other magicians. These are things that you can use, but also this is secret bonus tip number 11, which is put together a few questions that you want to hear answers to. So here are the questions and a little bit about why those questions are really, really cool and valuable. So the first question is, who has impressed you so far at this convention? I love that question because not only does it get to share a little bit about the person who you're talking to, but it also is going to help you if your goal at the convention is to network, to make friends, to make new relationships, to meet new people. You're going to be introduced to the people that are impressing everybody at a convention. So if somebody brought a cool trick they're showing everyone, this is how you'll find them. If somebody brought a cool book that they're selling out of, this is how you'll find them, by asking about who has impressed or surprised you so far at the convention. Question number 2 is, what are you hoping to get out of today? Or what are you hoping to get out of this convention? I love this question for the same reason as earlier I was talking about seeking to understand first. And also, it's the same reason earlier that I was talking about the types of ways that you ask for people to show you their magic, right? You ask to see things that they're working on or things that they're interested in. And the reason is because if people tell you what they're working on or what they're interested in or what they want to do, they're telling you about their passions, their desires, the things that they like. So if someone tells you what they hope to get out of the convention, you know, once again, what it is that they're struggling with, what they want help with. So if you stumble upon someone while you're at the convention that might have the help that they're looking for, you can connect those 2 people and give them both little wins. So question number 2 is, what are you hoping to get out of this convention? Question number 3. This is a selfish one. This is one that you can only use in a few scenarios, but boy, does it work. So this is a question that you use after you spent a while with someone. You've jammed with them, you've maybe shown them some magic, they've showed you some magic, and now this is probably before you're about to tell them that you have to go to the washroom. You want to say to them, now that you see a little bit about what I do, who should I meet? Who at this convention should I meet? Or now that we've been jamming for an hour, who at this convention do you think I really, really have to meet? And this is the same idea as the question that comes at the end of the podcast episodes where I ask a magician to recommend another magician, the endless chain. This is the same thing. You're like, I want somebody who's going to be able to help me. Now that you, person who I just jammed with for an hour plus, who's great, understand me, who do you know that I don't know that I should really, really meet? That is a great way to meet people that have interest in the area that you have interest, and to use the convention network to help make it happen. This is the last question, and similar to the question about what you're hoping to get out of it, this question is about seeking to understand their goals. So much of what I do when I'm at a magic convention is seeking to understand what other magicians are struggling with, what I can help them with, and what in general they want in the world of magic. The better I can understand individually what you want and how I can help you, the better I can start connecting you with people, giving you advice, sharing you links, sharing you resources, and basically impressing you and making a great connection and helping build my network of magicians and helping build incredible relationships. So this last question is like this. If we were to meet 1 year from today at this convention and you were popping a bottle of champagne celebrating something in magic, what are you celebrating? Give them a moment. Let them think about it. But the more answers that they can give you, the more information they can give you, the better that they're going to let you into their long-term goals, which if you're planning on following up and helping them, not just in the moment, but a few days after the convention and then connecting with them weeks later or months later or both, then you're going to want to know their long-term goals. So there are some cool questions. Please take a moment before your next magic convention and write down some questions that are exciting to you. Test a few out. Ask magicians questions. The worst thing that'll happen is they'll go, I don't know. And that's the worst thing that can happen. But most importantly, have fun, jam with magicians, enjoy yourself, have a good time. And if you're going to be at the Browsers Bash happening on Saturday, April 13th, I will see you there. I'm going to be doing a little bit of magic, and I'm going to bring a cool self-working trick, and I'll be there to help you with whatever it is that you need help with. Other than that, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. I hope that this was valuable to you. I know that it was different. So if you liked it or if you didn't like it, send me a message. Let me know if you like these kinds of episodes, if you like these deep dive advice, or if just bring the guests on. Who knows? Thank you so much for being here. And I will see you either next Thursday or at the Browsers Bash. Peace.